Hey YouTube, we're here with the Arcus M. Was out flying this tonight, and I just took a rough landing. At the end, it's crazy windy, and I was doing some maneuvers that were slightly beyond the capabilities of the plane, and it came down and it sort of plopped on its belly, and so the rudder broke free, which is not uncommon on a glider. When you have a rough landing, to have the rudder want to break off on you. So I was going to just show you a quick little tutorial on how to reattach a rudder. But mostly I wanted to try something that somebody had recommended to me, and I've heard this recommendation a couple of times, and I always forget it in the moment. So what I was going to do is basically work on getting this glue off. It feels like I used probably the mucilage from Hobby King initially, which would be fine to use again. There's the part number, and that's the large size. They have a small size that's more like this size, but it's not that size. It's something similar. That's actually for my A10, my Freewing A10 up there. So anyway, the tip I got from somebody, like I said, I've heard it. In fact, I gotta open up the canopy real quick before we get any further. See, I got this beanbag. Beanbag's a good way to hold up your planes. I know you can get plane stands and all that good stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that either. But I just like using things that are multi-purpose. Okay, so I'm putting the rudder back to a neutral position. Evidently, when I was done flying, it was turned to the side. So I'll plug in a battery here in a minute and let it initiate. It should go to the center position, or whatever the fail-safe position was. Okay, so you can see a couple of different details we got to worry about. This side took a little foam with it, no big deal. And then these two, you can see I use these Debro hinges. They have 2 or 3 different sizes of these things, and I always buy things like that and I think, oh, I'll wait until I have a more important project, and I'm kind of learning that just use it. They're not very expensive anyway. It seems expensive when you're buying one little package of plastic things that do nothing for you right that exact second, but you know, they last for quite a while, because most of the time you don't use a whole pack on one project. Okay, so here's the tip. I raided my wife's medicine cabinet and found that there was some Vaseline in there, and so I took some of it out, and I'm going to use a Q-tip. I use these things all the time. And I used a straw, and then I melted it out after I scraped it out because I didn't want to get my hands dirty. I hate Vaseline, the feeling of it. But it's going to work great for this. Ideally, you're going to get this in the hinge, right into hinge material. And that's going to help to prevent glue from being able to get in there. So I'm just going to coat the hinge area where we don't want the glue to get. I'm going to turn this hinge all the way over, and I'm just going to slather that stuff on nice and thick, and what a mess. I got to take that crap off later. I'm not looking forward to that, but it's going to keep the glue from getting in there, hypothetically. And I will be your guinea pig, guys. I know that other people do this, so I'm sure it's going to work just fine, but you know what? You don't even have to take their word for it. You can take my word for it after I see that it's a success. And we're going to do this with CA today instead of the mucilage glue. And hopefully we're going to have good success with it. So I'm basically, this one's already kind of stuck in here decent, so I'm just going to slather that on there. And you know what? This will lubricate the hinge. The only problem is I'll wipe off most of the Vaseline. I'm probably not going to get 100% of it out, and that's fine, because like I said, it'll lubricate the plastic components. So it's like plastic lube and other things lube, if you're into that sort of thing, of course. Alright, cool. So now we can dispose of that or do whatever we need to do with that. I'm just going to set it there for now. And why don't we go ahead and use some kicker, also known as accelerator. And then we're going to use some, ooh, that's not foam safe. Use this, black tip. Odorless gap filling glue, Instacure medium. It's made by BSI. This is also made by BSI. I wish BSI would be like, Brian, thanks for all the free advertising you've given us. We're going to send you a free bottle of glue. $1.99 value. Of course, they're not going to do that. Why would they want to help sell their product through awesome representatives like myself? That'd be way too easy. Okay, so we're just going to put a little slather of this. And by the way, I've been using BSI products my whole life, and they are pretty good. And I've just never had a reason to go with the cheaper stuff, even though it's probably perfectly good. Cheaper people, send it to me, and I'll talk about how awesome it is, provided it doesn't suck. Because I would never betray your trust, my loyal YouTube audience, unless somebody gave me something for free, and then I would. Okay, so as you can see, I put the glue on there, and I'm being very reckless. And I'm sliding them into the hole. And now I'm gonna, this one's a little bit trickier because I kind of got to get it to overlap it into the, wherever it was, the doohickey from which it broke. And it's kind of being difficult. It was being difficult in the dry fit too, so I might have to grab some pliers to hold it in place. These pliers, made by Masterforce. Don't think they'll be sending me anytime soon. That's okay. Masterforce, you're my hero. Okay, so it's not wanting to slip back in there for some stupid reason. I'm not sure with 100%. Oh, there it goes. It finally slipped. Okay, so now I need to take that rudder servo and crank it a little bit further over so that the rudder can be neutrally located in case the glue would dry or set up. I'm just kind of looking at it right there, just on the tip of the top. I don't think the servo was actually exactly dead center anyway. Okay, so now kicker. We'll take this away so we don't get any in there. We'll give a little kicker, little kicker, little kicker, little kicker. And remember, this plane, over the many, many moons I've had it, which actually it's not that many moons, I've really beat the crap out of it. But it's been a fun plane. I mean, really, this was the first time I had nasty cosmetic damage, was when the canopy popped off and shot into the propeller, which was kind of like, what just happened? But still. Oh, I just realized that the rudder broke. What the heck? This used to be square. Oh, dang it. That really ticks me off. I mean, it's still plenty big. It's still going to be plenty effective for what we do with it, which is crazy awesome maneuvering. But yeah, I just realized that the actual rudder broke. So, that's a bummer. Okay, so now my next maneuver is going to be to go ahead and fire this thing up. When I was flying this evening, it was crazy windy. So I actually took my 2200 milliamp 3S 60C pack positioner and I took it out. And then I slid the battery all the way to the front. I also noticed that the nose got a little bit squished on this rough pancake landing, so I'll just stick a little CA in here. And I'm just gonna open it up and then squish it and squish it and squish it just like a wound. And I'm gonna get the kicker and I'm gonna kick it. Hey, how do you like that? Ow! Right there. There it is. Perfect. So now we'll just let that set for a second while we're holding it. And then down here, it evidently tried to kind of open or rip out that thing. I don't even really care. Believe me, when this thing goes by at like 60 miles an hour in its beautiful form, you don't really care about that little spot. You might actually see it if you were slope soaring, which would be a good problem to have. But anyhow, so yeah. So now I'm going to just wipe this tip off, and we're just going to hang out together and talk amongst ourselves for a second as I cap everything off. And we're going to go look at it. Maybe I need to pause it and get the radio. In fact, that really irritates me, because if I would have known that broke, I would have sat there and looked for the extra piece and I would have stuck it back on there. I know where I rough landed. I could go find it probably, which I might actually do. But either way, let's go ahead and I'll pause it and I'll get the DX18 down here. Oh, hello there again. We got the DX18 throttle cuts on, which means the motor's not going to pop up. And we'll just use this 3S battery, so it's the same voltage and everything. It shouldn't matter. But I always like to use the commensurate size voltage, even if I'm just doing testing. In case there's something weird and fluky going on, I want to see it while it's in the shop. Okay, this one I have safe, or not safe, but Lemon RX. They call it DSMP/X, so it's DSMX, and it's got the Stability Plus. So basically, it's got auto leveling, but it doesn't really work that great in my opinion. Okay, so let's watch the rudder. Woo! Look at that, guys. The lube worked. Let's see just how good this worked. You know, it's kind of funny because the way that thing broke, it looks pretty good. You can see it's two pieces. I don't know if you guys can tell, but there's two plies. There's two pieces of thin balsa wood in there. That worked really nice, guys. Thank you for the tip. And I don't want to give credit to the one person because I've forgotten. A few other people had mentioned that to me many, many, many moons ago. And I honestly just forgot it. I was working on my new beautiful ASH 26 and I didn't even do that. So I'm going to cap off the Vaseline and let's do one other thing. Let's go ahead and move the rudder over and then wipe out the excess. And you're thinking, well, why would you wipe out the lube? That's the fun part. No, it's not. You don't want a bunch of lube in there. It's going to get crap stuck to it all the time. That's the same reason you don't leave lube on an open part in a machine. You're going to take all that lube off, and then you're going to wipe it on this rod. Yes. And then that lube will penetrate into that rod. And we're just going to evaluate real quick, make sure this isn't having any problems. Might as well get a little lube on there while we're at it. Just barely any, guys. We're talking about residue that was on the Q-tip, not like I went out and got a slather of it. But everything seems to be solid. I hate it when you can see these things rock. Always makes me nervous. But there's the elevator doing it too. See how it rocks? And I'm not talking about the servo. I'm talking about the output shaft. That's what you get when you buy cheap servos. And I deserve it because I do. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys, for watching. That was some high energy YouTube experience. I know it was. And for seriously, I am going to find that piece. And I'm going to glue it back on. And you guys think I'm blowing smoke. But it will be back on. I'm going to go right where I landed this thing. And I'm going to get that thing and I'm going to stick it on there. So for all of you wanting to fix your rudders out there in YouTube land, be my guest. Fix your rudders. Don't forget to lube the joint. And enjoy. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.